Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Football Betting Series here on YouTube, Premier League edition. We're off to a pretty decent start in April with 7 wins, 3 losses, and 3 pushes for a total monthly profit of £38.81. Add that to our overall record, we're standing at 64 wins, 24 losses with 10 pushes for a series profit of £380.36. This weekend, we have both the Premier League and the FA Cup coming up, so I'm taking 2 selections from each competition. Without further ado, let's get into it. We kick things off in the Premier League as 18th place Luton Town play host to 14th place Brentford. And to the surprise of absolutely no one, Luton lost their most recent game against Manchester City. They were behind after just 2 minutes thanks to an own goal before City pulled away in the second half, going on to win by 5-1. That result means that the Hatters could not make it 2 in a row after their win against Bournemouth at the start of the month. They've now won just 1 Premier League game in their last 12 matches. The away side Brentford, they managed to break their winless streak in their most recent game, beating Sheffield United by 2-0. Before that result, they hadn't actually picked up the win in their last 9 Premier League games. Head-to-head, Brentford won the reverse fixture by 3-1 in early December. The Bees utterly dominated by taking 27 shots, generating an XG of 3.47. Although I would lean Brentford here, their recent poor run of form has given me a bit of a cause for concern, but I do like the goals market. Over 2.5 goals have come in 4 of Luton's last 6 games and 6 of their last 7 home games in the Premier League, for an average of 3.71 goals over this sample. For Brentford, the away side, each of their last 4 away games have seen over 2.5 goals and an average of 4.5 goals scored per game. Head-to-head, as touched upon in the reverse fixture, over 2.5 goals was hit in the 3-1 victory, so I'm going to be taking over 2.5 goals for a full stake in bet number 1. Our second selection sees 11th place Wolverhampton Wanderers playing host to 2nd place Arsenal. And Wolves, they drew their last game 2-2 away at Nottingham Forest. That result means they haven't won in their last 4 Premier League home games, and there's not too much to shout about now. They're out of the FA Cup in the last round, and they've got no chance of relegation or of achieving European football. It looks like a nerve-free end to the season for the West Midlands side. However, their opponents Arsenal do not have a nerve-free end to the season. The Gunners failed to capitalise on Liverpool's loss to Palace in their most recent game against Aston Villa. They lost that game 2-0. It was a rather weak showing from the North London side, and they could have arguably conceded more goals, with Villa hitting the woodwork multiple times. Form-wise, that result broke Arsenal's unbeaten streak of 11 games in the Premier League, and they're now going to have to wait for Man City to slip up in order to catch them in the title race. Head-to-head, the reverse fixture between these sides finished 2-1 to Arsenal. The scoreline really did flatter Wolves, though. Hwang's 86th minute consolation goal added a little bit of gloss to the scoreline. Arsenal were in control during that match, and they could have easily added another goal or two to their tally. Going further back, Arsenal have won each of the last 5 encounters. And were Wolves safe enough in the Premiership and Arsenal still gunning for the title, pun intended? I struggle to see any other result than a away win in this one, so I'm going to be taking Arsenal for a full stake in bet number 2. Moving on to the FA Cup now, and there's 2 intriguing semi-final ties here, starting off with Manchester City versus Chelsea. And City reached this stage in the contest by dispatching Newcastle 2-0, thanks to a Bernardo Silva double. But perhaps more impressively than the scoreline, they did limit the Magpies to just 2 efforts. At the time of recording, City are still alive in the Premier League, in the Champions League, and in the FA Cup, so Guardiola has another treble on the cards today. Chelsea, despite a turbulent season, they've managed to wriggle their way through the rounds to reach this semi-final tie. They dropped a 2-goal lead in their previous match against Leicester, but 2 stoppage-time winners saw them progress to the next round. Whilst Chelsea have an outside shot of European football, the FA Cup is their only chance to lift silverware this season. Head-to-head, both league games this season have saw Chelsea escape with 2 points, drawing 1-1 and 4-4 against the reigning Premier League champions. Beyond this season, City have remained unbeaten in their last 8 competitive encounters against Chelsea. Given what we've seen from both sides this year, I really don't think Chelsea stand much of a chance. There is the Cole Palmer factor to consider, but I'm not allowing the poetry of him beating his former side to distract me from what I think is a clear line to a City win. I think around 1.5 is good value, so I'm going to be backing Manchester City to win for a full stake in the 90 minutes. The second FA Cup semi-final and the final bet of today's episode sees Coventry against Man Utd. And Coventry have responded incredibly well to their playoff final loss last year. They're pushing for the playoffs once again and have an outside chance of securing 6th place in the Championship. And they've also managed a really impressive run in this competition, beating Wolves in the quarter-final. United are as confusing as ever. And whilst many fans may be urging for a change, the Red Devils are still in contention for European football in the Premiership, and a win here will see them make the FA Cup final in back-to-back seasons. There's very little to say on this one, aside from the fact that it's a Championship side versus a Premier League side, and this makes Manchester United solid favourites. Coventry's draw has also been quite kind to get to the semi-final. This is only the second time they'll face a Premier League side in the contest. With this in mind, Manchester United have a bit too much quality not to pick up a win here, so I'm going to be backing the away side Manchester United for a full stake in the final bet of the episode. So there we have it, 4 selections in today's episode, 2 in the Prem, 2 in the FA Cup. Starting off with Luton versus Brentford, we're taking over 2.5 goals, odds of 1.56, a £30 stake to return £16.80. Elsewhere in the Premiership, Wolves versus Arsenal, we're backing the away side, odds of 1.38, £30 stake to return 11.40. In the FA Cup, Man City play Chelsea. We're taking the Citizens at 1.5, £30 stake to return 15. And we're backing the away side Manchester United to beat Coventry, odds of 1.49, £30 stake to return 14.70. So across this weekend, we're going to be risking £120 to hopefully pick up as much as £57.90. Will we do so? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to tune into the next episode. But if you have made it to this point in the video, please drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content. And as always, have yourself a lovely day.